yesterday, a very disturbing video came out. And so if you guys don't know already, there was a case in late 2025 in Southampton, England, where a young man named Henry Nowak was killed by a mid-20-year-old, or I think it's early 20s, Sikh man. Like, so S-I-K-H, not like well, he is sick. Like, he's sick in the mind. He's depraved. But he's a Sikh man. He's from India. And he was killed. He was stabbed to death. And what happened, this was revealed recently, was that he was, the Sikh man stabbed Henry Nowak in the chest, fatally. And the police in the altercation ended up arresting and handcuffing 18-year-old Henry Nowak. And it's really disturbing. Here's the video footage that came out. Just watch for yourself. Here we go.
This is like you've been walking,
So here you hear him say, "I can't breathe." And they're all just standing around and handcuffing him while he's bleeding out to death.
In the face? Oh no, but we have to check, don't we?
No.
In the face?
Just get these to back off, get their details on that, and I'll keep hold of them. No, keep you on your side, mate. You better retrieve then. I'm saying to him, I'm keeping him on his side.
He's just bleeding, he's just dying.
What's your name, mate? At the moment, you are under arrest, and that's for assault, so you do not have to say anything, may harm in defence. If you do not mention your main questions, it's up to which you later rely in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence, alright? It's going to be sick, I think.
Just look at them. They have no sense of urgency. Horrific. Absolutely disgusting. Look at it. They had no sense of urgency. He's clearly bleeding to death. He's dying. He said, "I can't breathe," because his heart was punctured. His lungs are being filled with blood. And they do nothing. Why? Because this man, the Sikh man, accused Henry Nowak of racism. He was accused of racism and assault. So while he's bleeding to death, he's bleeding out, who does the UK police arrest and handcuff? It is no other than the young British man. It's atrocious. It's horrific. This is one of the greatest acts of betrayal by local authorities I've ever seen in my life. This is one of the most radicalizing things I've ever seen in my life. This is so absurd that this can even happen in the West. And this is what we talk about when we talk about how wokeness has ossified into our legal system, into the way that our local authorities operate, and even until the way that police handle arrests. If a brown man, if a migrant accuses a white guy of being racist, the police will arrest the racist guy even if he was stabbed. Stabbings, apparently, to liberals and to our ruling elite is not a severe crime. It's not as severe as racism. To the woke elite, to the religion, this is a religion, by the way. They have tenets, they have sacraments, they have blasphemy laws. But this woke religion, liberalism, it demands that you accept this absurd proposition that racism is worse than murder. Racism is worse than stabbing and killing and brutally assaulting innocent young men, young children. Racism, perceived racism, is worse than exposing grooming gangs of young girls being kidnapped, sold into sex slavery. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we're talking about when we're not exaggerating that the West is on the brink of collapse because of this kind of ideology. I believe we have an article about this from the BBC pulled up. Here's what the BBC has to say. Murder victim told police, "I can't breathe," while handcuffed. So as we go down, here's the information that we have. Student Henry Nowak repeatedly told police officers, "I can't breathe," as he lay dying in handcuffs after being stabbed. Body cam footage shows. The 18-year-old Southampton student was handcuffed after killer Vikram Digwa. Vikram Digwa, 23, lied to police at the scene of the 2025 stabbing, claiming that he had been the victim of a racist attack. Footage released by the force with permission from Nowak's family shows him pleading, "I'd been stabbed," and an officer replying, "I don't think you have, mate." He's been stabbed, and then the response of the police to say, "Actually, I don't think you were stabbed." When I say truly, this is one of the most radicalizing things I've seen. This is absurd. And so he suffered stab wounds to the legs and a fatal wound to his heart from a 21 centimeter, which is 8 inches, blade that Digwa said he carried as part of his Sikh faith. And he was jailed for life with a minimum 21-year term. Minimum. He got the minimum sentencing for stabbing a young British student unprovoked. The minimum. It is so ridiculous. I believe if we go down a little further, that we have what Digwa said. Yeah, right here. So his father, Henry's father, Mark, said, Henry told officers that he could not breathe 9 times. He told him that he had been stabbed 4 times. Henry was pulled across the gravel, his hands forced behind his back, and he was placed in handcuffs. He said the contrast between how his son and Digwa had been treated was unbearable. Henry should not have died in the streets of Southampton in police custody. And so, yeah, right here, Digwa steps into frame as the video continues. He claims Nowak had taken his turban off and grabbed him by the hair. The officers ask Digwa if he is injured, to which Digwa replies, yeah, I've got a swollen eye here, a little bruise here. And then if you go down, this is what Henry Nowak looks like. Rest in peace. Shouldn't have died. And if you go down, if he gaslights us a little further, these officers gaslight him, actually. The officer can be heard saying, he says he's been stabbed, so let's just check him. He appears to briefly lift Nowak's shirt around the belt area before he is left to die on his side. A female officer can then be heard saying, where do you think he's been stabbed? In the face? A male voice replies, he hasn't been stabbed. And I believe that was from Digwa, who said he hasn't been stabbed. And Nowak, who seems unresponsive, is then told he is being arrested for assault, which is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. And if you go down a little further, I believe we have Digwa's statements. Oh, that's what he looks like, by the way. It's always them. It's always them. Man, the pathologist spoke in court was clear. There was nothing officers could have done that day to save Henry. Doesn't matter. You do what you can. You don't gaslight a kid who was stabbed in the chest, bleeding out. You don't gaslight him and say, I don't think you've been stabbed, mate. And I hate when conservatives do this, when they say, imagine if the races were reversed, if the roles were reversed. But truly, imagine if it was reversed. If a black man was bleeding out to death and a white police officer was like, yeah, I don't think you've been stabbed. There'd be riots on the street. But right now, because it was a young white man who was stabbed to death on the altar of diversity and anti-racism, oh yeah, I don't think you've been stabbed, mate. And then now no one cares. Absolutely no one cares. I think if you go down a little more, we have Digwa's statements. Oh, right here. Keir Starmer commented on a case in a post on X. He said, this is an awful, shocking case. You caused this, Mr. Starmer. Do we have, Producer E, do we have Digwa's statements towards the end? I believe in this article there was. If you go down a little more. In a statement, Digwa's family said they were deeply sorry for the pain and suffering the Nowak family has had to endure. Such bullcrap. We don't believe that for a second. The family added, it apologizes to the Sikh community for his son's actions would have unfairly brought the community into disrepute, and asks that the tragedy is not used to inflame division or hostility. It's always that. It's always a Norm Macdonald meme, right? Oh man, I really hope that ISIS doesn't blow up millions of Americans, because can you imagine the backlash against the Muslim community? It's the Norm Macdonald tweet every single time with these people. That more so than the tragedy itself, it's their response to the tragedy. It's their reaction to the tragedy. It's what people say about the tragedy. That's the true tragedy, right? It's not tragic. Oh, man, it might be a little tragic that Henry died, but, the real tragedy is the Sikh community who's being attacked and targeted for this crime. Really? Really? This is not what accountability looks like. This is not what justice looks like. It's ridiculous. And I don't know if it's in this article, but Digwa was saying that he lied. He absolutely lied to get away from the crime. In court, he testified that he lied to the cops. He stabbed a man, and then he framed him for a racist attack. And then what happens? He gets the minimum sentencing. We have to understand that our courts right now, unless we completely repeal and get rid of these corrupt judges, we won't be able to live in an orderly society again. This is everything. This case, Henry Nowak, is everything that BLM, that the left claimed that George Floyd was, when actually George Floyd ended up overdosing on fentanyl, according to his autopsy reports. And also you saw the footage that he was saying that he can't breathe before he got on the ground. Namely, either he was going into mass delirium from overdosing on fentanyl, and or actually maybe his heart was palpitating too fast and he was not being able to breathe because of the fentanyl, or maybe he was just lying to try to get out of arrest. All those three scenarios, quite possible. We don't know exactly what it is because George Floyd is passed away and he is dead. But it wasn't Derek Chauvin's knee that killed George Floyd. And it wasn't Derek Chauvin trying to intentionally kill George Floyd, because that was a Hennepin County approved technique to apprehend suspects. But alas, Derek Chauvin got basically life in prison when he did truly nothing wrong, actually, if you look at the facts and you remove the emotion from it. Yet this case, where this is a clear case of not only police negligence, and you can argue police brutality, but this is a case where a man should be in life in prison. At least a life in prison. But I think the very least that he should get is a death penalty. He gets the minimum sentencing of 21 years. Minimum. He gets the minimum. And that's what we have. We have preferential treatment towards certain groups of people in the West. White people are all the way at the bottom, and then next comes East Asians, because East Asians are now white adjacent. And so we all get treated terribly when we're attacked. Oh, it's not a hate crime. Oh, it's a racist attack. We're gonna put you in handcuffs and we're gonna arrest you while you're stabbed and you're bleeding out and you can't breathe and you die. This is the kind of society we live in, folks. This is not an exaggeration, and I don't say this to rage bait or try to elicit rage and frustration for more views or clicks or something. This is not sensationalism. This is the world that we live in. You remember that case earlier this year of a man in Portland who was stabbed by a black man, and then the jury ruled that the black man is innocent. Why? Because after the black man stabbed the white man in Portland, the white man yelled a racial slur. And because he yelled a racial slur after being stabbed, the black man was freed. This kind of society we live in. The kind of society we live in where a young black man can stab a white man. Carmelo Anthony stabs Austin Metcalf. And yeah, he gets out free. He's walking free. He can walk graduation, no problem, no repercussions, no cultural repercussions, no institutional repercussions, no political repercussions. If you're a certain race in the West, you get away with certain crimes. And if you're a victim of these crimes and you're a certain race, then people won't care about you. The institutions, the ruling authorities will not care about you. And that's the society we live in. And this has been a slow march through the institutions, but especially the past 10 years, especially after this grievance politics from BLM has completely made its way into our legal system and our jurisprudence. Yeah, this is the society we live in, where we don't get justice. And the actual victims of crime don't get the justice they deserve. And the perpetrators of these crimes are, oh, you're so poor you for stabbing and raping and murdering people. So it's ridiculous. Please, I pray, and let's all pray for the family of Henry Nowak. Rest in peace. He shouldn't have died that way, and there's no reason why that crime should have been allowed, let alone him being left to die. It's the most radicalizing thing that I've ever seen. So let's not live like this, and it's going to take courage. It's going to take boldness for this kind of system to change. And the more that we're okay with the status quo, the truly vulnerable, the truly oppressed and marginalized people in society actually get hurt the most. So let's not live this way. Let's continue to speak out on behalf of these people.